Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting for July the 13th. Take a moment to acknowledge the traditional territory of our friends and our neighbors, our Treaty 8 partners of the Donegal people of Port Nelson First Nation, as well as the Prophet River First Nation. We recognize our treaty. We recognize the rights in that treaty. We also recognize the contribution and enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that this afternoon's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually, is being streamed and recorded. Are there any council additions? None. Are there any staff additions?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any public who wishes to comment on the agenda? Seeing none, agenda's okay. Everybody's okay with that? Good. There's Councillor Souls. We have two councillors online. Councillor Roper and Deputy Mayor Gerwing are online. First order of business is 5.1 petitions. Sarah Saunders is here from the Canadian Sports School. So I'll turn it over to staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Like similar to what we talked about in the sustainable service delivery, some of you had already met Sarah when you were down in Prince George. So we've been working with her for a little while now, back in June of 2025, on the possibility of a Canadian sports school and establishing a remote campus here in Port Nelson. So she's got a presentation she's going to run through with you just to give you guys some information. And then if we have any questions or anything like that, we're happy to answer. She knows way more about this than I do, so hopefully she can answer our questions for you. But we did do an admin report as well, or for the actor. So for 6.1, that's there with you as well. And then if any questions arise after, we're happy to answer as best we can.
Perfect.
Yes, and hopefully she can fill you in and dazzle. And she also joins us from vacation, so I want to give her a big thanks.
Yeah.
No problem.
Welcome,
Glad
Sarah.
to be here.
Thanks for accommodating us. The floor is yours.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm going to share right away. I think I can get this. I'm used to Teams here, but I think I can manage. Can you see something up on your screen?
Yes, we can see.
Wonderful. So I just want to acknowledge that I'm coming today from the traditional unceded territory of the Shuswap First Nation, where I'm a guest right now, but I typically reside in the unceded territory of the Lheidli T'enneh in Prince George. So I'm going to start kind of sharing a little bit about who Engage Sport North is and kind of a little bit about our history and our mission. And then we'll kind of give you an overview of what Canadian Sports School is, how it currently runs in many communities across the province. And then we can kind of dream and brainstorm together. Is there an opportunity for us to be able to offer this this program that we've kind of have some proof of concept already in, as I'll talk about, in one small community, but Fort Nelson would be the smallest community that it would run in if we were to move forward with that. So, and feel free to stop me as we go if you have a question, and then we'll definitely leave lots of time for questions at the end. So, thank you for having me, and excited to share a little bit with you here. So Engage Sport North is a not-for-profit organization. Our mission and mandate is to support sport participation throughout northern BC. So as I mentioned, I'm located in Prince George, but we have staff kind of around northern BC doing different projects and collaborations with municipalities like yourselves and other organizations and institutions around the province, the northern half of the province. You might have met my colleague Rob Stiles. He comes up there quite regularly and does adapted sport programming. So one of the services that we provide for Northern BC is support to adapted sport opportunities for the general public to try adapted sport, but also for those athletes who are interested in participating in adapted sport. So if you know of anyone who has a need in that area, we're definitely happy to support through equipment or programming to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to participate in sport. And that's really the goal of everything that we do. We want to collaborate with partners to just elevate communities through sport because we're really passionate about sport, and we think it's important for everyone to have the same opportunities, even if they live in northern BC or if they live in a more metropolitan Lower Mainland or whatever. So that's kind of why we do what we do. So we think,
Sarah,
yeah,
Sarah,
go
can I
ahead.
interrupt you for a sec? Could I just get you to put presentation mode? It might be a little bit easier for us to see.
Oh, is it not in the, okay, let me try that. Sorry, thank you for that.
That's okay.
Is that better?
No. Oh, there. That's better.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm not used to using Zoom here. Awesome. Um, so yes, we realize that there is a challenge for northern communities, and so I know that exists even more so in Fort Nelson than many of the other communities that we work with. So we have limited access to services and maybe high level coaching and things like that. Sometimes there's not enough kids to make things happen, and so there's lots of different challenges. I think there's also some benefits too. About a month ago, I was up in Fort Nelson and saw your beautiful facility, and it made me even more excited to be able to try to start programming some things for youth in the community because you do have an amazing resource in your beautiful facility and the team that you already have there in your community. So yeah, there's definitely some challenges and some opportunities there. So we kind of have a collaboration model. So we don't typically just run things ourselves. We work with partners. So we're predominantly funded through the province of British Columbia, but we have many service agreements and partnership agreements and MOUs with municipalities around northern BC. We never want to come in and like duplicate what exists. We always want to augment what's already happening, fill in gaps, and try and support the community so that the kids and youth and people, everybody, have access to the same opportunities that you would get in a bigger center. So we fit into the multi-sport system in Canada. So we work with Canadian Sport Institute, which is the organization that takes care of high performance sport in Canada. And so we are part of Canadian Sport Institute Pacific, and we are a regional center. And so you'll see we take up about more than half the province geographically, but population-wise, we would be more equivalent to a Kamloops center, but they just have a smaller region. So you can kind of think of it like health authorities. We're kind of set up similarly, where we've divided up the province so that there's a not-for-profit organization funded through the province to help support sport development, whether it's coaches, grassroots, supporting LSOs, just kind of helping the system thrive because we've got quite a vast province. So that's kind of what we do. So yeah, that's kind of our mission to elevate sport across northern BC and improve access, making sure that there's inclusive quality programs happening throughout northern BC. So yeah, like I mentioned, we value equity, empowering athletes, coaches, officials. We strive for excellence. We think that there's no reason why a kid in northern BC can't reach their dreams, whether that be professional sport or varsity sport or Olympic, whatever that looks like. So we also value collaborating with others to make sure that happens. So there's just kind of few partners that we work with. There's a whole bunch more, but we're proud of our partnerships. So just a little bit about kind of the Canadian sports system. So the philosophy of sport in Canada is called the long-term development model, where we believe that research shows that if a youth develops physical literacy in childhood, they are more likely to be active for life because they have the physical competencies and the confidence and the motivation to be physically active. And we know that's important for our health. So it's a whole population thing. But also, if you have that foundation, then also elite sport is an opportunity that might exist for you if you choose to pursue that. But it doesn't mean that everyone has to do that. But we want to support those individuals who have that goal. And so we provide programming kind of in 4 different pillars: sport development, physical literacy, sport participation, and high performance are kind of the buckets, I guess, where we work to try to improve access for individuals in northern BC. So that first one is called physical literacy. that foundation, learning the basic skills of sport and being physically active, balance, agility, coordination, running, jumping, throwing, all of those fundamental movement skills that it requires. They're prerequisites to participate in physical activities for life. And so we get lots of, we partner with corporate sponsors to make sure that everybody has equitable access to that. Sport discovery, we also have try-it programs where we want to introduce kids to lots of different sports so they find something that they love, because being active is way easier if you find something that you enjoy doing. So we want to try and help kids find something that they like to do and then give them the skills to be able to participate. And then we also have athlete services that we support around Northern BC. So everything from athlete testing to strength and conditioning, sports science, sports psychology, all of those kinds of services that you would be able to find if you lived in a major center. We work towards bringing access to those things in throughout Northern BC. So one of those services that we provide is the Canadian Sport School. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about for the rest of today. Did anyone have any questions, particularly about Engage Sport North as an organization, before we jump into the specific program that we're looking at as a potential for Fort Nelson?
Questions, anybody about the organization? No, it doesn't look like it. Go
All
ahead.
right, awesome. So I have a little video here. We'll see if it plays okay. And this is just a video that we took. I think it was taken on someone's iPhone. That's why it looks small. Of what the sports school looks like in the Prince George campus.
That's how I compete. Now I'm gonna tell them you not in my league. But when I fit in, I'm stand out. And I never was given no handout. Everything been a part of my plan now. Cause I do all the things that I wanna do. Ain't nobody telling me how I gotta move. I won't ever tell a lie just to get a views. The only one left that I gotta prove. Don't give me no lessons, I don't wanna hear them. You're not in my shoes, you don't know how I'm feeling. I've been at the top, but I don't got a ceiling. My struggle is small, we don't need your opinion. I'm never gonna follow, I'm born to be leading. I put in the work in the regular season. I ball in the playoffs like I'm 23 and I won't ever stop. Got a lot I'm achieving, yeah. Been determined, I know what I'm facing. Right at my goals.
All right, did everyone see that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. So that's just a picture of kind of what happens in the facility where we run the program in Prince George. In Prince George, it happens at the Northern Sports Center, which is a multi-use space that's on the university campus in Prince George. So the program is a partnership between Canadian Sports Institute, Engage Sport North, and a local school district and a local community. So like I say, like everybody has to get together to make this happen. It's definitely partnership driven. And in Smithers, we run a program as well. And that one we've actually integrated into the local high school. So we've invested in a high performance gym in the high school. So it runs differently in different places throughout the province. The other centers that are kind of our equivalent that would take care of other regions, they run similar programs. And it's a multi-sport program, so kids from any sport can participate. And the curriculum has been developed by Canadian Sport Institute, that organization, and then is delivered by a registered kinesiologist who has experience and education, particularly in high performance sport development. So if we bring this well-educated person and we have a curriculum that's kind of a proven curriculum, then we can deliver it anywhere. And so that's kind of the model, and it's just any community that wants it could have it. So there we go. So why do we think that it's important for communities in Northern BC? Is I think that, like I said before, they deserve access. Your postal code shouldn't determine whether or not you get to participate in something like this. And so I think it's even more important for smaller rural remote communities to be able to have access to this program, because in bigger centers, there's tons of options to be part of academies and things like that, where this program is really designed to take that same sports science research that the high performance athletes are using and bring it to the local community level. We don't think that athletes should have to leave their community to be able to access that quality training. And so this program has been developed specifically to bring that to them. So the Canadian Sport Institute has kind of built the curriculum around sprinting, which is like getting faster, which is important for a lot of sports. Olympic weightlifting, so that's strength, explosive power, injury prevention. And then physical literacy through body weight exercises. So there's a curriculum that's designed that it teaches gymnastics like movements that is important for all athletes. We know it's important for spatial awareness, coordination, injury prevention, flexibility, strength, all of those things. And so the curriculum is kind of, the physical curriculum is built on those kind of three foundations. And then the trainer who's training the athletes would also provide opportunity for development in sport-specific ways. So each individual athlete might be doing something a little bit different to help them specifically with their sport, whether they're an endurance sport or a power sport or a team sport. So the kinesiologist would be able to kind of tweak things to match that athlete's needs within the group setting of the multi-sport space. Then they also get credit for this, which is kind of unique in that the Ministry of Education has approved the course curriculum to give them credits for graduation. So they get to do specific student-led activities, independent studies interested in around sport science, that kind of stuff. They also learn about mental performance, and they get a little bit of coaching experience, all the things that athletes need that are maybe ancillary to what they normally do at practice. But we know that athletes need these kinds of things, and it's becoming more and more competitive. So if an athlete does want to go on to play youth sport or something like that, these are the things that they need to be doing in their high school years to be able to keep up to make it onto those higher level teams if they choose to compete after high school. And if they choose not to compete after high school, it's still valuable experience. They get credit for it. Maybe it's something that they're interested in pursuing as a career, or maybe they're just going to volunteer in the community and they'll have this great knowledge that they can share with the rest of the community to help those who are coming up behind them. So yeah, I think they get to learn about mental performance, they get to learn about energy systems, wellness, holistic lifestyle development, all of those things that we know can translate into development of individuals for the whole lifespan, not just athletics. And it's a pretty cool thing to keep kids interested in school. If they're sport inclined, this makes them want to go to school, right? They get to learn about these things and they get credit for it, which I think is neat. And they might choose to give up, say, they probably wouldn't take wood shop or something. They would choose to take this instead. But they would still get all their regular academics as well. So this is a little bit about the credits. There's been some iterations of this, an opportunity to be flexible in partnership with school districts and do it in a few different ways. But there are academic courses that have been developed provincially for this. So this is kind of what a sample timetable could look like. This is what it often looks like in the Prince George campus. But we're not committed to it having to be like this. There is other opportunities. So I think I have right here is an example of what we're doing in Smithers. So the kids actually do a block X, block A, so before school and the first block of the day. And so in this scenario, they actually get a little bit less credit, but it takes less class time. So they have more time to do their biology and math and social studies, all those kinds of things. So there's definitely some flexibility, especially with small communities. We realize there's extra limitations and challenges. And so we're open to being flexible and changing the program to meet the needs of the community and what makes most sense for the community. So this is a picture of what your current facility looks like and could be a potential training space for the next generation if we choose to kind of walk towards that goal together. The kids, in addition to their regular diploma that they get from their high school, they also get a diploma from Canadian Sports Institute. This is great to put in with a university application, that kind of thing, especially if they are wanting to go on to play university level sport. It's a recognized organization that that has meaning on an application for an athlete to move on. So the other cool thing that we are excited about, potential for working with the community of Fort Nelson, is there's a great prevalence of Indigenous athletes and athletes that might be able to pursue things like the Arctic Winter Games, or the Aboriginal Hockey Challenge, or the NAG, which is the National Indigenous Games, which is really exciting. We think that we've been able to help athletes meet their goals, and we'd really like to extend this and provide more opportunity for Indigenous athletes to have the same opportunities as well. So yeah, we know that there's some challenges for sure in delivering in smaller communities and northern communities. And so we think that sports school is a good opportunity to be able to meet the needs of small communities and meet the challenges that exist for athletes in smaller communities through a program like the Canadian Sports School. Yeah, so we think that this is a great opportunity. It not only provides a great way for kids to pursue academics and athletics at the same time without leaving their community. I don't know if there's kids in your community that have had to leave to go to a sports academy somewhere else. This program is designed to bring it to them so that they don't have to leave. I think it's also important for retaining your professionals in the community who are looking for these kinds of opportunities for their children and youth. If we can bring these opportunities to the community, it'll also keep families around because they see the value in that. It also keeps talented athletes in the community to mentor the next generation coming up. And so, you retain those families and those kids, and those athletes can be an opportunity for others to look up to and maybe to coach and bring them along in their way. So it kind of can be a community builder. We also are partnering with iSpark, which is the Indigenous sport and physical activity and recreation organization, and they are committed to helping indigenize the curriculum and work to help support Indigenous athletes who might participate in the program. So we're excited about that partnership that we've built. All right, so yeah, just that's the general information about the program, and to make it happen, we just need to partner with communities that want to make this opportunity available. So we think the potential is there, and the talent is there. We just need to provide the opportunity to be able to pursue that if there's people in the community that would like to. And then here's a few of the past participants in Canadian Sports School who have gone on to represent Canada at really high levels. And it's exciting to have, now that we've been running this program for 16 years in Prince George, we see the benefits of it, and we see individuals from our community and from Smithers. It's been running a little bit less time, so those athletes are still coming up. Takes about 10 years sometimes after they get through high school to put an Olympic medal on them, but now we're seeing the results, so it's pretty exciting, and those who live in our community get to look up to those athletes as well, which is really cool. Yeah, so thank you for your time, and I'd love to open it up to questions if anyone wants to ask any questions, or I'm happy to provide my contact information if you want to follow up with an email or think of more things that you'd like to ask later.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation. It's actually really exciting as far as I'm concerned. But are there any counselors who would like to ask a question? Councillor Souls, I see you.
Questions. First of all, I want to commend you and I want to commend, I was really impressed reading the conceptual side of what you're doing. I'd like to give a real quick comparison. I noticed that throughout my lifetime as a rural person, when a rural school closes down, they send all the rural children, they'll send a bus to the remaining rural students to a school in the urban areas. But since the bus has to go both ways, I always wondered why they don't send a bunch of the kids from the urban areas back out to the rural schools and keep the rural schools alive and keep the culture crossover alive. You're actually doing that. This is actually a very, very good program from that type of perspective. So there's a poke into the educational world. Maybe someone's listening. The second thing that I think of, and just for historical local context, from the facility point of view, we've struggled over the years. We envisioned the full utilization of the rec center with training systems in it and so on, but we've always bumped into the idea of being in competition with local gymnasiums and things like that over the years. And so trying to infill that or finding a way to infill that with an actual training mechanism, I think there's a very, very good fit in that. And so it's exciting to me. Thanks.
Thanks.
Anybody else, questions or comments? Councillor Inex, please.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. I just had the one question, similar to what Danny was talking about. For your weight and strength training, we have a local gym here in town. Is there any collaboration with any local gyms in the cities that you offer this program, or partnerships?
I believe there are. I think in Kelowna they do partner with a local gym, and they rent space at that gym. They have several cohorts there, and so I believe they are doing that in Kelowna. I'd have to learn a little bit more about how the mechanism of that works. I do know that their program is a lot more expensive because they have to pay a rental fee to a private gym. And so we typically try to partner with municipalities or school districts and have a shared use agreement so that the fees can stay low for the kids.
Okay, anybody else? Do I see a hand there? Deputy Mayor Gerwing, please.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Thank you. I just want to confirm that I heard you. The program would be delivered by a registered kinesiologist. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, the program is designed to be delivered by someone who has that education. There's actually quite a list of qualifications. And then we would work, the bare minimum is they have to have that registered kinesiologist degree. And then we would work with them to make sure that they have the right certifications in high performance strength and conditioning. But we would work with the employee to be able to make sure that they have all the things they need to deliver the curriculum as it's developed. Because, you're working with high level athletes and you don't want to hurt them. You want to make sure that the training is delivered in a way that's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is, how far along are you with your partnership development with School District 81? Just given the reduction in funding to education right across the province and what the report has indicated, a cost of about $75,000 for the program, but then you're looking for a teacher as well, or is that $75,000 is covering the teacher's part of it, or that's the professional part of it and then there's a teacher required too? Can you clear that up?
That's a great question. Yeah. So we've done this a couple different ways. So the way funding works in high schools, as far as I understand, is that each individual athlete, student, funding comes with them. And so you have to have a full class to be able to warrant a teacher. And so you would, instead of that teacher teaching PE 11 and 12, they're going to teach sports school instead. So those kids would forego their PE class and then they would take the Canadian Sports School instead. And so the funding for the schools that we are doing it in, they just see it as its equivalent, right? Either we're paying this teacher to teach PE and play dodgeball, or we're paying this teacher to do high performance sport with these kids.
That teacher isn't a registered kinesiologist, right?
No, so
Right.
that is why the program is a bit more expensive. And so we do in the other centers, the families would pay for this just like you would pay if you want to be in the band class. There's usually a fee for that. There's a fee to be in sports school, and that fee pays for the registered kinesiologist. And so those kids actually get a teacher and a high performance coach in their class. And both teacher and high performance coach are delivering the Canadian Sport Institute Ministry of Education approved credit course rather than, I don't know, woodworking or whatever other course they might have been teaching instead.
Okay.
And so we have had conversations with a few different schools in the area, and the hope would be that it would be open to athletes or students who are both in the school district and in the independent First Indigenous school.
Okay, so can you change your presentation mode? Because I can't see myself, so it's a little bit disconcerting.
Yes, sorry.
There
you
thank
go.
you. There. Thanks. So then I guess just would like some information on how far along you are in developing a partnership with School District 81.
Yeah, I think maybe John and Krista can speak to this. I know that they've met with them. I've met with them a couple times as well, and we've had some conversations. There's no MOU or anything yet. I think the next step is to kind of see, is there interest from the student body? Do kids want this program? Is this something that they would be interested in? And then it would kind of go further. We also want the interest of the municipality, and so we're kind of meeting with all the different partners and gauging interest. Kind of everybody has to be in favor to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and so I can jump in there too. So we have had a few conversations with both SD 81 and with Challo, looking at potential of this to see what their interest is. And so it'll take some work to get there, some budget on their part, because as you mentioned, they will need a teacher. That's a part of this process. But at this stage in it right now, our goal is to move forward with some community engagement, because if there isn't enough community need or want for this program, then we wouldn't want to put all that time in together, develop the partnerships and the programming without having the kids there to support that as well. So we want to make sure that there is that desire, that need, and the youth population there to warrant taking the school, so that we can move forward with a potential MOU with the schools and the design of the program to make it fit for our community. Recognizing that we are a fairly small community and we do have two schools in there, we are looking at various different ways of how we can accommodate the schools and our facilities and all of that thing to make it work for our community. That help at all?
Yeah, the report indicates 24 students, which from grades 10 to 12 could be a stretch for a community of our size. So, and then up to, I mean,
And
discussion. I think it's a great idea, don't get me wrong, but I think that there's a lot of questions yet to be answered, especially around the whole funding expectations of School District 81.
Yeah, I'll add, like, it's in its infancy yet, so there's lots of questions to be answered. In discussions with School District 81, I mean, they've raised similar issues around the ability to fund a teacher, how many students. So that's the reason for, broaching it with council to just say this is something that's in the works and we're working on in the background. And in addition to that, it's not just going to be limited to SD 81. SD 81 actually has a rule or a bylaw or whatever that they actually for students, that it's equal opportunity for students. So when you look at paying for a program, you don't want to rule out. So that's the other component. But that said, it's also having the conversations with Challo, having this could be opened up to homeschool students too. So it's it's basically, as Johnny said, it's looking what the various options and opportunities may be versus just and the thinking outside the box locally, considering small community. But we don't want to, we have the facility, right? And the facility from a use perspective, you walk in there during school hours, besides you school, maybe skating or doing the program there is underutilized. It gets busy after school, especially in the winter months, hockey and whatnot, but there's that opportunity is there too, which isn't in the larger centers. Right? Those types of opportunities aren't necessarily there. So we're just basically looking at all the options to see if this is something that could work here in the future for the community. But all those questions and concerns are valid. Deputy Mayor Gerwing.
Can I say something too? So Sarah brought to us, just when she was here in June, what they're starting up in Smithers is they're going to the one class in the school. So it's really requiring one teacher for one block, which is more like an elective. So it's not taking as many resources from the school district. And then it would require the kids to be part of an after-school block. We figured an after-school would be more accessible for anybody that was taking the bus and things like that. But they would have just one block of school and then one block that they're kind of giving up their free time. So Smithers is going to that model or trying that model because of similar limitations with their school district for the most part. I'm sure Sarah could speak to otherwise, but that's why we'd like to look at doing it that way. We could always grow to the 2 blocks. And with that, it does give a little bit more flexibility, I'd say, to the students. So our understanding is that they could actually be part of, say, School District 81, but also be able to take a class under cello school for one block without having to leave their home school, if that kind of makes sense. So we feel like that kind of opens up more doors, and just that might be a good starting point. Because I can understand the hesitation from school district and with the funding changes for them. But we feel like this could still be an opportunity to, especially to help keep our kids in town. We have a lot of people that end up either leaving town, some of them return, they're trying to, say, live with a host family, and it's typically doesn't really work out. But if they can finish off their high school years at home in their community with their friends, with their sports team, they're more likely to be successful after. And that could even mean becoming a kinesiologist or a program manager. I did something very similar in my grade 11 and 12, and that's why I went to school. So I'm pretty passionate about it.
That's good. Any other questions? We'd only have a great facility. We have a facility that we're very proud of. And I think something like this would make us even more proud to see us utilizing it. A building is a building without good programming and people in it is just an empty building, right? It's a great empty building, but the more we fill it with good programming, the better utilized it'll be, and the better. I'm interested, Sarah, in the availability of these kinesiologists, because I'm understanding that kinesiologists actually would need to be in the classroom. So, what are the chances of actually getting somebody to run this program at this campus? Like, is there lots of them?
We actually did, when I was up there in June, I did meet with a local kinesiologist who is very interested in this program. Not to say we've interviewed or anything like that for sure, but you actually do have one in your community that might be a good fit for this.
Good.
And then the other thing is there's a school in Victoria that pumps them out, and there's not a lot of jobs like these available. And so whenever we yeah. Whenever we've posted, we've got a lovely person like Krista who's happy to move to Fort Nelson because they're really passionate and want to work in this industry, and there's not a ton of jobs. And I feel like we just got to send them a picture of your beautiful facility.
Right?
Every
the video
tour
tour
I work with would be so jealous if they saw it. So yes, it would be hiring a person with a background in kinesiology to move to the community or find one in the community.
What other communities, I mean, you've talked about Smithers. What other communities in the north are you working with at this time?
Oh, we work with a lot of different communities. So we're only running sports school in 2 communities. But we are actually currently running the Northern Lights intramural programming. So we have staff in Fort St. John and in Dawson Creek. We also run programming in Quesnel and in Terrace. Those are our kind of main programs we have currently running. And then we also do a lot of we have an employee who actually travels around the province and does physical literacy in elementary schools. So he's come up to Fort Nelson before. So we pretty much go in every community with our in-school physical literacy program. And then our summer program, we do physical literacy in parks. And that program, we work with whatever community wants it. And we use Canada Summer Jobs and we hire local kids, we train them, and then they deliver the program in the community. Yeah, and then also coach development. So we deliver the National Coaching Certification Program for Northern BC. And so we physically send people to many different communities to teach workshops to help equip coaches, or we would invite them to come on to online courses. Yeah, so those are kind of some of the things that we do in communities.
Okay, but only just a couple of campuses where you actually call it a school?
Currently, sports school only happens in Prince George and in Smithers. And we're looking to be able to kind of have a proof of concept that, hey, we can do this in a smaller community. The other sports schools around the province are in bigger communities. First, Prince George was the smallest community, and then Smithers was the smallest community. So we really feel like this program has been refined over the last 16 years. And 5 years it's been running in Smithers, and now we're at a point where we do feel like we can scale and bring it to even more smaller communities, because we've taken some time to refine the program.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
If there's no other questions, we'll let you have the rest of your evening.
All right. Thank you very much. And
Thanks, Sarah.
this
Thanks,
has my
Sarah.
Thanks,
contact
Sarah.
information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
feel free to reach
For
out.
sure.
Thanks for your time.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
lake.
Thanks.
Okay, there's a staff report there. Is there any questions for staff? Do you see any significant increase in the amount of maintenance required or staff time required if we're using the facility more?
Not really. That was one of the considerations for this. The biggest part from the partnership from the municipality is the use of the facility, but really it is a underutilized time during school. We already have a reciprocal use agreement with the school, so they come down and use our facilities during the day. But it is a time when it is low use, low impact on the use of the facility, and if the rooms they get used afterwards and cleaned up. We would kind of establish a bit of a classroom where they could stay and house their equipment, and kind of a bit of a classroom space that would stay there. But again, there might be a little bit of setup and take down, that kind of thing, for if there was a rental that needed to be in that space. But otherwise, it should be fairly minimal.
Janitorial cleanup, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we already go through the facility every day in the evening or the morning, or a combination of both as well. So the additional cleanup from that would be fairly minimal.
Good.
We actually see the kids taking more ownership of the facility too, because that's kind of, a lot of kids actually come down and use our washrooms. They do appreciate, like out of the high school, they appreciate our space. And I think them being there a little bit more and having, they might help us run some programs and things. I feel like we'll actually get a little bit more of a, just ownership, I think, and pride.
Mm. So last question I have is what's your plan for community engagement? Have you got a bit of a plan, a bit of a timeline? I mean, I see it's for next year, not 2006, 2007. So there's amount of time there. So have you got some ideas on how you're going to engage with the community?
So our initial plan was survey, which is pretty good to see if there's see what the need is, and so we can kind of get some of those nuts and bolts down on paper about what people would want to do, are interested in, get some numbers and some feels out there that way. After that, we could expand into more individual community engagement or that kind of thing. But the survey was the big goal to start with. And the timeline is a bit long because recognizing that us as well as the school districts would need to make sure that the budget can accommodate that and have the teachers and all those things available. So it will take some time for them to get that into process. So as much as when we first started these conversations, we were gung ho, we could get it going for this school season coming up. We took a realistic look and it will need some time to get in there. So yeah, that's our goal. Our next step is to do some of that engagement, see what the community feels with that. And then if there is a desire and we see some good numbers there and some good feedback, then hopefully we can bring another report back to council so that we can get a resolution to move to a partnership agreement.
So at this time, it's staff to staff with the school board? You have engaged with the school board itself,
Yeah, we've engaged with the school board and the
staff.
staff of the high school.
Okay, good. Deputy Mayor Gerwing, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so my recommendation would be before we start surveying that we need to get some answers to the questions that were posed, like if there is going to be a tuition fee, how is School District 81 going to handle that? And is it something that residents in our community can bear? And then, you know, kind of like that funding thing within the school district. So my advice really would be to get that whole funding piece really set before we go out into the community, because I think I've been out there talking about it for over a year now, and that's the question. The two questions that I hear over and over again is who's going to teach it and how much is it going to cost, and how is it going to impact my child's ability for other elective courses. So those are the three areas that I hear over and over again, so.
Okay. I think there's general consensus though to keep going and
yeah,
try
for
to
sure.
form a partnership and yeah, come back to us with the report, see how it fleshes out. We've got a skeleton. Let's see if we can put some meat on it.
That is one of the reasons too, speaking with Cello, a few reasons, but so if with that one class model, then the students could be part of Cello school for that one block. So that could be a way to get over if the school district, if that's a hard no on their end. We do see value in having a cost to it. It's kind of like kids showing up to school because they actually need to pass. And I find sometimes they need a little bit of a push, a commitment, and having put $1 to that might make them a little bit more committed. But we've also talked about other ways to help with that cost. So if there was a student that couldn't afford, we do have our leisure access program. And then we looked at the students doing, I always need volunteers. So helping us with events and delivering some programs, like some sport programs, especially because often we might be trying to deliver sports programs, but we might not have a coach style leader that's able to do that. So it kind of helps us out in that way too. And then it's their way of kind of working it off in a sense. So we don't see the cost being as big of a barrier as it could be initially. And then I do believe a lot of people, see the value in sport. They're taking their kids out of town for tournaments and different events and stuff. And with it being accessed here, it's actually a lot more affordable. It's more equitable, really, to the northern kids than to the few people that can afford to go elsewhere, to move out of town, to leave Fort Nelson and put their child in a hockey academy, for example, right? So
Well, it's good we're thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, any last questions for staff?
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, 5.2 is Staff Sergeant Rummings from the RCMP with his quarterly update. Yeah, wherever you like.
Well, thank you, Mayor Fraser and Council.
Welcome.
Thank you for the audience today. I won't, I've sent over a package. Hopefully everybody was able to take a quick look at it. So back in March, when I presented the 2025-2026 year-end policing report, at that point in time, I also had in our conversation with Mayor Council and also with Fort Nelson First Nations and Prophet River First Nations, we had the community consultative piece where we talked about priorities that are in the community and that have been identified by community members and the overarching concerns in the community. So today, based upon our annual performance plan that we solidified in April, I'll just give you a quick rundown about what our priorities are here, just as a reminder. Our strategic priorities in the community this year are community engagement, visibility, outreach, and communication with our local levels of government. With saying that, we still have in our annual performance plan, we have the crime reduction strategies because violence was a significant concern to members of council and the community. We heard that loud and clear. So this snapshot is for our first quarter, which runs from April to June of this year. What I would like to impress on council is that our calls for service in the first quarter of 2026 were 728 files. Relative to 2025, that's a 8.5% decrease in calls for service. I'm going to talk briefly about a couple of little things here, and these are kind of just dry statistics, but when you look at the column for our crime stats for 2026, you see green and you see orange or yellow, depending on what colors you see there. So green means that we're below the 5-year average. Yellow is we're consistent with the 5-year average, and our reds are that we're above our 5-year average. So if you're just going from the color coding, things are looking really well here in Fort Nelson during our first quarter. One of the big priorities for the detachment, Sergeant Ramos-Senek, myself, and our members, is that we wanted to be visible in the community. And I feel that's a very significant portion of what the RCMP does and what we bring to the community. So this year, our traffic enforcement has been a priority within the community. And during our first quarter, we issued 284. We had 284 infractions that were documented by violation ticket or warnings. And relative to 2025, that's almost an 8% increase in traffic safety enforcement in the community. But if we take a look at the stats in 2025, those stats also included the BC Highway Patrol. So our numbers are significantly higher than that. Part of that is ensuring the safety of the community, taking impaired drivers off the road. So this past year, this past quarter, pardon me, we took 10 impaired drivers off the road through the provincial IRP program and 2 through criminal code investigations. So relative to 2025, that was a 100% increase in enforcement by our officers. This is where this is some of the really important stuff here, and we've seen some really good gains with this. Is the crime reduction, our prolific offender program. So currently monitoring in the community, we're monitoring 8 offenders in the community. They were checked between April and June of this year, 263 times. And this year, during this quarter, we only submitted 2 reports to Crown Council for breaches. If in comparison to 2025, we had submitted 12. So we've found that a number of our prolific offenders in the community that are being monitored by us have decided that Fort Nelson really isn't a great place to be. And they've decided either to move on or they're abiding by their curfews, which is a nice thing. One of the big items, and this was a number that I hope Everybody, sees that our violent crime relative to 2025 is down almost 30% in the community. And that's across the board. We look at our assaults, our mischiefs, any violent crimes against people, we're down significantly there. I'm going to talk about one other crime reduction strategy that we've implemented since April of this year. And is that with the violence in past years, we've also seen a significant increase in how those individuals are getting around in the community. So since April of this year, we've seized 12 uninsured, non-registered quads that have all been linked to criminal offenses in the community. So hopefully, as the community sees that these are not law-abiding citizens, these are people that are breaking the law. Like I said, prohibited drivers, violent offenders, folks that are not insuring or not registering their UTVs or quads as well. So that's kind of a snapshot of what has occurred here in the last 4 months in relations to the crime stats and so on and so forth, and the good work that the members are doing here in our office. But one of the things I like to really implore on Mayor and Council is that our community engagement. This is something that I hope has become quite noticeable in the community. This past quarter, we had 6 of our members came out for the Walk for Archie Gardner. We had a booth at the trade fair for the 2 days, and I believe we had six members come out for that. Red Surge, Safety Bear, but part of that was building relationships, showing off so what the RCMP is all about, but also doing a recruitment booth there as well. We participated in the Red Dress event out in Fort Nelson First Nations. I won't say we participated because Krista will start laughing at this, but we had members go out to the Summit Walk because there was a great turnout out there this year. The Northern Rockies Municipality put that on, so a couple of members drove out to kind of just to show their support. We had, of course, we attended the celebration for Dr. Lupu and Hadding leaving the community, which is sad. We were out at Prophet River First Nations Treaty Days, and we were out at Fort Nelson First Nation for the graduation of the kindergarten, elementary school, and the high school students. So we also held an elder abuse workshop out in Prophet River First Nations in June. That was really well attended. I have to commend all our partners here, Fort Nelson Fire Department, our ambulance service. We really did I hate to say it, I refer to it as the first annual community bike rodeo, because the other ones in the parking lot sort of don't really count. But amazing work done by all our partners, and I think next year will be bigger and better. We gave away 13 bikes to different children in the community, and I think we had 70 or 80 kids come out to it. I hope to see next year maybe we get 100 or more, and I think it'll be bigger and better next year. But it was really amazing. And here, just in past June, the Northern Rockies Child Development Association, we supported their business case in an application to Violence is Preventable program, which is a school-based initiative designed to support local youth in developing knowledge and skills needed to build safe and respectful relationships and preventing safety. So there was more than 200 applicants that were submitted from across Canada, and the proposal for expanding the VIP program to Fort Nelson was successful. So we're really excited about that. So there was, I believe there was $23,750 that was given to the Northern Rockies Child Development Association to implement that program this fall. I don't have a lot more to add. It's actually been a busy quarter, but I welcome any conversations and in regards to policing priorities, any ideas that your council and the team have that can help us strengthen our service. You know, it's pretty important to me, and I think you've all know this from my 4 years working with you all, is that it's essential for me to to maintain forward progress in what we're doing, and basically everybody here and anybody out there who's watching on YouTube or such, reach out anytime if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions. It's always appreciated.
Good. Thank you, Staff Sergeant Rummings. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I got just
Okay,
one quick
go
question.
ahead.
About halfway down your chart, there's other GO. What does it stand for?
Well, it's kind of the catch-all. So when they do the statistics, there's a lot of things they don't. We sort of have the one catch-all for like minor offenses, minor calls for services, so on and so forth. But it's actually good you brought that up, because next when I got the statistics, I was looking at that going like, you know what, I'd like to break that down a little further, because it's a red that shows up here, right? But one of the things it is it catches mental health calls. And because I don't have a section there for mental health calls, we're going to break that down a little further, because we have seen a significant spike in mental health related calls for service this year. We definitely have. We had a lull. There are unique situations in every community, and we have a number of those here, especially and what I mean by that is that small communities don't have the services that the larger communities have. So we have to think outside the box. We have to use our partners. We have because everybody needs that type of healthcare, and we have wonderful healthcare facilities here. It's just that sometimes we're lacking in the mental health side. But what I will do, especially in the second quarter, I'll try to bring a breakdown of that, because the spike is actually significant to us. It's just how we're going to go about tackling that. Also, on the mental health side of things, I didn't put this down in the literature here, but we've actually moved on to a new program. It's called Health IM, and so instead of doing all our documentation for mental health services to the physicians, especially when we apprehend a person under the Mental Health Act, instead of that being on paper, we're able to do it in real time through our cell phones, and we're able to basically put all the information. It's a software program that's the RCMP is using, and it collects information in relations to people that we deal with mental health. It enables us to provide a far better level of service to that person in crisis. It also allows us to get that information to the physician who's going to be assessing that person. So we just rolled that out about a month and a half ago. We've used it on 4 occasions now, and I've been around for a while, so I'm skeptical about some new fandangled programs and stuff, but this one is spectacular. It's amazing. I think it's a real breath of fresh air when it comes down to technology.
Good, thanks. Deputy Mayor Going?
Yeah, hi. I really appreciate seeing you back around the council table. Thank you so much for providing the statistical report, but also presenting it in person. So really glad to have you back. And I just wanted to give a shout out for all of the members' involvement in like every community event that I've been at. I have seen representation from the RCMP, and I just want you to know how valued that is. So thank you.
I appreciate the feedback. We're part of the fabric of the community, and we need to be out there. So I really appreciate that feedback.
Okay, thanks, Jason. I also, looking at the numbers, see that there's an improvement. I mean, even where you hit the red, those numbers are low, right? They're low numbers. But if you're that one person who has experienced it, it's 100% for you. So for folks in the community, I think that generally, I think we're feeling good about the increase in visibility. You heard that from Deputy Mayor Gerwing. And, but we got to stay the course, right? Because for every one of those persons who feel violated, you know, they're not feeling like you're doing a good job, right? So we'll keep up the good work. I wonder though, I know that your roster is just about full, right? You've done a great job hiring, and not just hiring out of out of the depot, but actually getting some senior people into the community. So could you talk about that a bit, and maybe the percentage of positions filled in 2026 over 25? Is that why you're doing better?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I'm very transparent about
Sure.
things, Mayor Fraser. I think the detachment has gone through a significant transition. I hope sometime in September that we are going to have an open house. We're just not quite there yet. We're getting close. I would, I do have envy when I look at the fire department, but that's a whole different schmozzle. But you know what? I think that I would really like to open the doors to the community and have a community open house where folks can come in and actually see what the detachment's all about, and find it that it can be a welcoming place and not a place where you go when bad things happen. You know what I'm saying? So those are all significant things that are on Sergeant Drabosenics and my plate. What I can say is that strong leadership teams attract other leaders. And not tooting my own horn or Drabosenics' horn here, but we've been able to bring in really good quality police officers. Not to say that they weren't here before as well, but we've brought in Corporal Cade Shuchuk, and I know you've met Corporal Shuchuk. His wife came here as well as on a lateral, and she came out of major crime, and she is now was the successful candidate in a corporal's competition we had here now. So we have two Corporal Shuchuks. We just have Kate and Crystal. So thank goodness their first initials are one's a K and one's a C. So that makes it easy. But we're saying that we've been very select, and this is a difficult thing to say because staffing is so difficult in this environment nowadays. People just don't want to move the way they used to. And so when staffing comes to you and says, I have to make hard decisions, where are you going to run vacant positions for extended periods of time in order to get the right person, or are you just going to take a recruit to fill a spot? Well, we've seen, I've been fortunate. I came up here in 2018. I've been in district since 2010. I know a lot of the history, a lot of the issues in not just this detachment, all the detachments in the north. And I've had the I've really been fortunate to learn stuff from some very good people. And just putting a body into a position isn't always the best option. You have to have a good mix in order to develop those people so that they can become the best police officers they can. And if we don't do that, we do them a disservice. So we're saying that we have a very strict policy, and it's not policy, it's basically we have a process, and that process is that a person who wants to come to Fort Nelson, we speak to them for literally hours prior to them ever considering putting their name forward. We tell them all about the community. We tell them about the Souls Farmers Market. We tell them about the golf course. Tell them about the rec center. We sell all the amazing attributes of Fort Nelson, and the big thing is that I want people, members, police officers that want to come to the community that have a plan. And they want to focus on community policing. They want to focus on traffic enforcement. They want to focus on becoming the best police officer they can be. I don't want people coming here and parking themselves. And that's the big thing. And you know what? We have so much to offer. So, you know, for a young member with some service, we have staff housing. And so which would allow them the Northern Living Allowance. And these are all things I promote to get members to come up here, because they can put some money away in order to, on their next move. If they don't love Fort Nelson, they don't decide to stay here forever, which some of members have, you know, yeah, at least they'll basically set themselves off in the right foot. And I hope they have an amazing experience while they're up here, because, you know, it's a salted earth folk up here, and you folks all know that. So, yeah, so that's how we're attracting people. We also have internal info web pages that, you know, which is our internal personnel pages, I guess is the best way of putting it. But that's how we attract people internally as well. So we have a very robust page with a ton of links to everything that you know, pretty much every video that the Northern Rockies municipality has put out to attract people, we have links on there for that. And we promote all the you know, the amazing things that this community is all about. So, and that's how we're attracting people.
Good. Well, recruiting techniques are having an impact, you know, and I think it shows in the statistics. So thank you for your commitment to the community. Yeah. And putting our best foot forward when it comes to attracting people here.
So we're saying that, I was hoping to have some folks to bring up and put a face to a name in front of Mayor and Council, but some folks decided they want to take some holidays. So you know, I can't, you know, it's like, geez, you know what? I know it's one of those things. So, but in September, so the end of August, beginning of September, a constable from High Level, Alberta. Her name is Constable Jade McLean. She's going to be transferring here. And Jade's bringing 7 or 8 years of policing experience from Alberta with her. We're very excited for her to get her. She's a First Nations. She's First Nations, and she came here. She has a young family. She's looking for everything that the community has to offer, but she's also looking for the experience of working with First Nations communities. So we're very fortunate to have her pick us, because she had a heck of a lot of other detachments she could have picked. And then we have a constable, Jason Smeeden, who will be here in October. And Jason's got about 8 years service as well. He was down in the Vernon area. And actually, Corporal Dave Blake, who I hope some of you folks know, Corporal Blake, who was here for years, actually was his supervisor down in Vernon, and told him all the amazing things about Fort Nelson, and that made it very easy for me to sell it to him. And he's coming out of Telegraph Creek here in October. So people are smiling. It's great. So yeah, so that actually puts us at. I believe that will put us at 17, if not 18 bodies in 18 positions. We're dealing with some special leave and stuff right now. Some folks are away on certain leaves. But with saying that, I have one member that's going to be returning to work here shortly, and who's been off for over a year. So we're very excited to get people back. We're doing the right things that get people, you know, so tear down those barriers so that people can come back and they can do what they need to do and get themselves back and be a part of the community again. So
good.
I'm sorry, Mayor Fraser, I didn't mean to cut you off. I did send this out to I won't throw Scott Barry under the bus on the 7th, but I I don't know if there's time to discuss anything like that, but please review it. We have a whole number of significant changes in relations to the criminal code coming down the pipe. I don't know how there's there's highlights on there in relations to Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. And one of the big things that we're looking at with that, and you know, we were talking about the catch and release and all that all those wonderful things that have caused us a ton of work. There's stipulations in the in C-14 that you know, release is not going to be automatic. There's going to be requirements for the judges and the justice of the pieces to look at public safety, including repeat and violent offenders, how they're going to protect the public, including victims and witnesses. So there's some really good stuff here. And for us, we're going to have to be prepared to justify decisions, not to seek bail. Not to seek a bail hearing. So instead of us just writing on a piece of paper, giving them an undertaking and sending them on their way, we're going to have to start justifying in the criminal code basically why we haven't sought a bail hearing and brought them before a judge or justice. So these are amazing changes. I just don't know what they were going to look like because you know, there's all the different levels of the system, right? One of the big things is that we're going to see reverse onus situations where when we have offenders that have been involved in random unprovoked violence, or the accused has multiple serious outstanding charges, that person is going to be put into reverse onus, which they're not currently not. So they have to explain to the judge why they should be released. So there was so much. There's like I said, I could take up your whole evening talking about that. We have reforms to C-225, which is Bailey's Law. Now, in relations to, you know, we have now new offenses as relates to violence against intimate partners. We have restrictions on police release, risk of reoffending assessments that are going to have to be done. Then we get into Bill C-16, which is Protecting Victims Act. And then we have Bill C-9, which is Combating Hate. And that those will all have effects in what we do in our day-to-day policing world. So maybe another time after mayor and council have digested maybe some of those items, or if you'd like to have a conversation offline anytime, just give me a shout. And as we get closer to these dates, which is the 16th, which isn't too far away, hopefully I get more messaging from E-Division in relations to how this is going to affect us and how any of our policies, our SOPs are going to change as well.
Well, that's good news, because some of those things are things that we've lobbied for at UBCM, right? And other communities have. It's not just us. There's a lot of communities that have been lobbying the province with respect to some of those issues. So, and they say that they've been working with the feds. So it sounds like some of that is maybe finally coming to a head. And so, yeah, so I think there's probably some interest in sitting down with you and going through some of these and understanding how it's going to impact your work and whether or not we have the ability to assist you to do that. So, yeah, so let's plan another meeting another time.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, if there's any last questions, see, we're getting on in time. If not, Staff Sergeant Rawlings, thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to your next quarterly report and dealing with you every day.
Thank you all. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Okay, 5.2. I think we had a pretty good discussion around the Canadian Sports School. Do we need to carry that on? Or are we good? I think we're good. Okay, there's no additions. This is an opportunity for the public or anybody online to ask a question of council. Seeing none, we are adjourned. We will be back at 6:30 for the regular council meeting. Thank you, everybody.